Sometimes you just work where it is comfortable and convenient. And honestly, I do like my working from my countertop. Even when I was working at my corporate job, I would pull my um, laptop in here, and stand while I was doing conference calls or, just needed to have my laptop up instead of sitting all the time, right? So, hey, happy Monday. La 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 la. Take a body break, right? They say 20 seconds every 20 minutes for your eyes, right? Away from the screen. And then for your body, you can practice my 5-minute rule, which I still owe you guys an official video, and that will be over on my Feel Better Guru channel. But I will be cross posting it over here. Oh my gosh, look at this one now. She's like, because I decided to go live, so I can get some of these. Aren't you? Yeah. She's like, and I'm waiting. All right, I'm gonna go put them in her bowl in the other room. Yeah. Take these to your bowl. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Give you something to work on out here while I'm busy. Oh. She's a big dog, so I usually give her like 2 of these at a time of the regular begging strips. Unless it's just like a little quick thing or, it's late night or whatever. Because her other ones I give her are like, the bag's almost gone now, but they're a lot bigger. Like this. She loves, these are like her favorites. But I also have been starting to pick up these. These are made in the USA also, which I think all pet food products have to be, but it's nice seeing the label. You know what I mean? Because especially if I'm not making the treats for her, which I have some kind of eggs that are probably could, like, I could bake them into treats for her, which I have the yam recipe that my mother gave me. That's also on the Feel Better Guru channel page. So, if you're looking for stuff like that to do on a Monday fun day, maybe you don't have a Sunday fun day, maybe you have a Monday fun day. Maybe your Monday's actually going well. You know what I mean? And some people, they always come into the office so grumpy and they just freaking ruin your fucking mood. Am I right? Am I right? And it's like, man, I'm kind of starting to relate to that Office Space chick. And she's like, somebody's got a case of the Mondays, right? Because sometimes shit is just not that big of a freaking deal, right? When it all comes down to it, because guess what? We all woke up today, right? I wish I could see you one day so I can follow you home. Well, I don't think that's going to be appropriate. Lean in my cereal. You may need to go find a stalker channel. Since we did have a little half moon, I'm going to do the animal oracle card, okay? To kick off the reading. Then I am going to jump into the tarot. And if we have time, I will clarify with the Rider Waite on that. If not, I may have to do that in the next reading, okay? So as many of you who are tapping into these spirituality channels, if you are a reader as well, you have other things that you do. You're a well-rounded person in life. That's part of being the collective, right? That's part of waking up Monday and saying, you know what? Oh gosh, it did turn April 1st. Did we pay rent? Right? Like, are my bills paid from the end of last month or whatever billing cycle has come through? And it's kind of funny I'm even talking about this because in my corporate job, I worked on the billing systems. So, cash me outside, right? Right, Danielle? Cash me outside? Exactly. Yeah, bad. Love her or hate her, that girl is rolling in the fucking dough now, ain't she? Ain't she? You know what I mean? It's almost like old Dr. Phil created himself a little monster out of that. I'm just saying. So, sometimes when you're preaching too hard to people and stuff like that, it's like, why is a 13-year-old talking like that in the first place? Right? Something's going on there besides watching too much Dr. Phil. Right? But and I'm not saying I don't agree with Dr. Phil necessarily on a lot of things. I read his book, the Life Strategies book. I thought that was a very good book. He talks about how he counsels Oprah, about her thing with the meat industry and how she got sued and all that stuff. And but he talks about when he had an experience as a teenager, a fairly young teenager, and he was out like joyriding or something, as kids do. I had a vehicle when I was 16. My parents had a vehicle that they allowed me to drive, but it was kind of like my car, you know what I mean? And my friends came along with me and we had fun, and cruised up and down the strip, kind of like that movie American Graffiti. Then you go by and then somebody moons you and blah blah, blah, you know what I mean? Nothing too crazy serious where you have to come in Monday hanging your head and all bent out of shape. But we all know the types that got a little too cray-cray over the weekend, and maybe they had to spend it holed up. Right? Mm-hmm. Okay? That ain't your problem. That's their problem. Okay? So don't let their, sob story about them misbehaving become your, dent on your fabulous day. Do you know what I'm saying? I love that bear. I drive a lot. I drive quite a bit as well. So, anyway, so to finish the Dr. Phil story before I get into the Animal Oracle Tarot, he gets like stopped, by these local police or whoever authorities, and because his friends are kind of up to no good, and something that could really kind of ruin your weekend type deal, right? And one of his friends was getting smart with the police or something, and Dr. Phil's kind of chuckling along with it. We all go through maturity at different times. A lot of us were immature as teenagers. Some people are just immature adults. Some people never do grow out of some of that immaturity until they're actually like caught, right? Then they start getting sorry that they got caught. Then they'll start to think about but anyway, you get the picture. So anyway, Dr. Phil's point was, the officer looked at him and it was like, do you share this sentiment here? Or, are you going to allow yourself to make a different decision out of this? Right? It's like, that police officer there was the warning sign to say, hey, we already know what he was doing. And now if you think that's real cute, yeah, you can join him, but you can already see the path that's going to get you down, right? So, the person that hauls off and gets in a fist fight over the weekend outside the local tavern, don't be shocked if you have to spend the rest of the night in the drunk tank. It's not rocket science, is it? Right? But then don't come in and be like, oh, they treated me so bad in jail. Nobody gives a shit about that. You know what I mean? You're complaining to people who didn't blow their rent money. All right? So, you know what I mean? Somebody said they were arrested for stealing your neighbor's dog. That doesn't sound like a very nice thing to be doing. So maybe you should have gotten arrested, right? Pronghorn action. Now is the time to act. Opportunities are here. Move forward with confidence. Your talents will always help you land on the pinnacle. Your quick wit and keen senses will lead you to success. Okay, yeah. So, put on that thinking cap for a moment. Take off your blinders of just following around what your friends are doing because they're so cool, right? Yeah, they're so cool, they're going to ruin the rest of their weekend, right? And then it's just back to work for them on Monday, and then they're going to try and ruin everybody else's time. Right? Even the Led Zeppelin song, they're like, yes, there are two paths you can go down, but in the long run, there's still time to change the road you're on. So Dr. Phil was presented with that. It's time now to make that decision. Right? Because you don't actually have to physically walk down that road to know where it gets you. Right? Okay. I mean, and, he goes on to become a famous counselor, helping people make better choices in life. How about that for a turn of events, right? You know, who can complain about that? Maybe one of his pals eventually did turn his life around as well, too. Hope you're having a blessed day. Thank you, Gray Wolf. Okay. Giraffe, visionary, rise above earthly matters. Yeah. So, collective, for a lot of you, especially if you're somebody who likes your job, like you came in to this week, like, I'm going to tackle these projects, I'm nailing this week, like, blah, blah, blah. Like some of the other stuff, like, oh, you were in jail. Oh, well, are you out now? Like, okay, life goes on. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? All of those types of things where you're really focused on that cool stuff that maybe you took a break from over the weekend, right? Maybe you kicked back a little bit. Maybe you did some other like boring things. Like, I was getting rid of some, kind of organizing and, going through some clothes that I haven't really worn in a while. And there's nothing wrong with them. It's like, are these a part of my outfit right now? Or, you might be changing out your spring clothes for your winter clothes if you have only like one main clothes closet, you know what I mean? Storage area, however you're doing it, right? Do you guys ever watch that Shameless when Debbie has the entire storage facility of her high-end goods hidden away from her family? Okay. That's like a real thing, right? Right? Axl Rose famously in the Guns N' Roses house, right? That they were, when they were playing on the Sunset Strip in LA and all that stuff, right? He had a padlocked door. And behind that door was an immaculately kept room that was very clean and orderly, whereas the rest of the house looked like a rock and roll band lived there. A feral rock and roll band at that, right? Like, okay, but where he was at was a different place. Okay. And you might need to think to yourself, okay, well, maybe that's how they got some of those albums done because he's writing, he needed that space to create. I don't know if he wrote in there or what, but you know what I'm saying? Creating that mental space for you, again, however you think of Axl Rose, did they ever release Chinese Democracy? I don't know, but you know what? They released how many albums already? At least 5, right? Including Appetite, Use Your Illusion, 1 and 2, Spaghetti Incident, if you want to count that, right? So, hanging on to the vision you have. Yeah, let's read the rest of the card. I got the message. They're like, hey, they didn't hear the rest of the card yet. Glide through life with grace. So when you think of a giraffe, yes. Oh my goodness, this one. She's, you're working it today, aren't you? Uh-huh. It's a little chilly. It's a little like cold breeze. So, and I just wash my hair. So like we're not going outside for, WALK strolls right now. So she's a little, which I'm glad we got out yesterday for some walking. Yeah, so we were gliding with Grace yesterday with the weather. When we were graced with some warmer daily outcome, okay? You are able to see the right path, stand tall in your self-worth and love with a big heart. Okay, so you are able to see the right path. So like by Axel keeping that space for himself, like he was able to see something, right? And went for it. And that helped him, say, and I'm paraphrasing. I never met the dude, right? But I'm a music fan, and I'm a musician. So I understand some of these things, right? And, as many others can that have this interest, right? It's all about your interest. So standing tall in your self-worth, saying, I deserve to have a comfortable bed. I deserve to have a clean room. You know what? My roommates want to trash up this area of the house, whatever. You know what I mean? Like your brother or your sister or whatever, like their room might be a disaster area, but the rest of the house is fine. Right? Like, But, like Debbie and Shameless, sometimes she had to go to extreme measures and had her own private offsite storage space because her relatives, the show's called Shameless, right? So protecting your vision, holding your head up above, right? Okay. Okay, let's keep going. This card is bent up, but it wants to come out. This is actually like my little miracle card here, this owl, because I didn't realize I had kind of lost it outside. And even after like some storms and stuff, it was still on the back deck. I was like, oh my God. Owl magic. Choose to know the truth because you can. Right? Again, like that Dr. Phil story. The truth of the matter is, if you want to continue on this path, you're going to be facing some legal issues, some possible jail time, blah, blah, blah. Right? If you use your brain, right, and listen to logic and reason, that truth is going to get you probably on a better path, right? So open your inner vision. You can see through deception as well. Yeah, owls can see at night. We are going to have a full moon next week, but we had a half moon over the weekend. That's why I think the animals were a little more hyper. There were a few places I went to where there were like crowds of people, you know what I mean? It was very strange though, like that half moon, it was like either on or off. Because there was a couple places I went, there was like full of people, and then I went to a different area and it was just like a ghost town. And I was like, you know what I mean? It's like, are you in the Twilight Zone right now? Or what's happening? Let the past go and make room for a better life. Yeah. Rise up. Magic and wisdom are your birthright. So, yeah, letting go of the past, like kind of when I went through that area where it's like there was nothing there. You know what I mean? And it's kind of like let go of any past memories that might make you get into this FOMO thing. Okay? Because the more time you spend in FOMO, the less you're going to spend actually getting that vision accomplished. Okay? All right. You guys, I need to re-warm up my Tiger Fire. I choose to be unstoppable. If you need to get pumped up today, like a little Eye of the Tiger, right? I know it's different. Was it the Katy Perry Roar, or You're Gonna Hear Me Roar, or something? She has some like kind of uplifting songs too. It was Roar, and then I was hearing that over the weekend. The other one, Dark Horse. So for some of you collective, and it's kind of interesting. Both of these are kind of horse-like, figures as well. Well, the longer necks, the longer, you know what I mean? It's just there's some distinction there. You're not just like, I was talking to my dog and calling her a floof ball, you know. She's just all, furry, and you know what I mean? And when we look at our animals, that's maybe what, we think and stuff, but there's something else there as well. A purpose, and that's driving them because, they care about us so much, right? And they allow us to express our love unconditionally towards them as well, right? So that might be part of the fire you're experiencing, okay? Where with that dark horse thing, it may have been hidden before, or nobody maybe expected it from you before, but now you're out here doing the things, right? And nobody can take that away from you. It's the same as when you complete your different levels of education. When you get that diploma, you have it. Nobody can take that away from you. Maybe you're somebody who's a lifelong learner. Maybe you like to learn about symbolism through nature in using the animal oracle cards. right? Some people choose to share their vibration in a positive manner as to rebuke the negative energy that so predominantly wants to take over and, do that kind of case of the Mondays type thing, right? Yeah, it sounds like When Will We Change has a case of the Mondays, right? But like I said before, some people just want to be salty, and they're free to do that. We're not stopping them. But salt is a spice. It is a seasoning, right? So, uh, let's see here. Sorry guys if this makes a little noise, but I don't have my little warmer sitting out here. Oh, look at this inventor raccoon. So, yeah, whatever this project is, collective, you might be using some new type of technology or ingenuity, okay? So, decide on what you really want. You have the ingenuity to claim it. Avoid being the trickster and practice integrity, okay? You have many roles and can juggle them well. So, again, as I was saying right at the beginning, you may be skilled at more than one thing. Okay. So I am going to get into the tarot now, you guys. I'm going to use the Ethereal Vision stack. These, I can't remember where I got these. Some of these have been gifted to me, but I do have, thank you for pointing that out. When Will We Change? I do have Amazon links to, Patrick K, are you calling my cubs trash pandas, or are you talking about the raccoons here? Which, if you visit Chicago, I don't know if you've ever visited New York, but in Chicago they got some street vermin out there too. I'm just saying. You might be happy when that trash panda comes up behind you because you're like, dude, these things are huge. It's like that movie I was thinking about over the weekend, the Kill Bill series, which I love. I love Uma Thurman in that. She does so well. And her and Quentin really did a good job on that character together. So, yeah. And in the movie, she says, I have big vermin to kill, right? So, for you, collective, you may be inventing something that is like some way to trap animals, like for animal control or something. Okay. I mean, I know my dad was always out in the yard, like fighting the moles in the yard. You know what I mean? Putting those mole traps, setting those mole traps. And I feel like this is kind of this time of year, right? The animals are waking up out of hibernation. They're moving their nests around. There's all sorts of things, okay? Can your cards tell me when Kim Kardashian will unblock me? Is that you, Kanye? Does she have you blocked? I can't imagine. So don't y'all see each other every now and then with the kids? Raccoons, that song will get stuck in my head. Well, I had Part-Time Lover on earlier because, again, collective, I feel like somebody is kind of questioning your commitment, your integrity, whatever. And it's the kind of thing where when you're finding this out, you're like, why does that person even think they have the right to do that? But, opinions are like a-holes. Everyone has them, right? Like, you can't stop people from forming opinions about you. And you most certainly don't want to waste time trying to correct everyone's opinions, do you? Because, again, that would be taking you away from the magic you're creating with your vision. All right, so let's see what the tarot has to say. Again, make this Monday a fun day if this is still your weekend, right? This would be a great day to get your errands done, right? Because a lot of people, are back to work, regular schedule, You know what I mean? That type of thing. Nine of Cups. Yeah, feeling satisfied. Um, what's that in that Prince song when doves cry? It's like, am I like my mother? She's never satisfied. Or are you gonna be like, yes, I am satisfied right now? Oh well, it's Monday. I have a job to go to. There's a lot of people that have been laid off recently, right? I'm very happy with my spot in life at the moment, right? That's allowing me to live, breathe, and exist, right? Um, only collective, if um, these things are resonating with you. And if it's not resonating, somebody says my pawpaw has the same mole of changes. I believe it. I believe it. And I need to call somebody for the side of my, they get creative. I'm telling you. Anyway, 8 of Wands. Yeah. So watch how quickly things start happening when, again, you start focusing on the right things. And it's because you're trying to keep that vision clear, right? You're trying to stay above the fray here, right? Isn't it funny how clear this card feels and crisp? And yet there's like 8 things on here. Isn't that wild? Can you feel the energy from that? Some of you might benefit from Reiki, some other, even doing like some Tai Chi, some type of energetic meditations where this is going to allow you to tap into your chakras and the overall, universal electromagnetic system, right? Don't think these planets moving around don't have anything to do with us. Okay. There's people that have been studying the stars for a very long time. You might need to go out and look. You know what I mean? I hope we're all people that are in the chat and not bots, right? Sometimes, I block. I'm kind of letting this roll today because nobody's like saying anything like really bad words, but I feel like for some of you, collective, you might come out of this thinking like, either I need to spend some more time reflecting. Again, this is still kind of before Easter yet, Lenten season. There's still time for reflection. Some of you might be, kind of in the reverse of that, where it's like, you know what? No, I thought enough about it, right? I'm ready for this action, right? And that was literally the first card that came out here was action. Okay? So for some of you, I wouldn't say stalling, but just set the wheels in motion, right? Where's the keys, right? Put the key in the ignition. Turn the ignition on. Okay, are we getting there yet? Do you know what I'm saying? Like, Rome was not built in a day. But you gotta start somewhere. It ain't gonna build itself. I mean, they're working on some of these little 3D printed houses and all this stuff. I saw a Tesla looking, it almost looked like a Class B, but it was more like a minivan, but kind of like bigger. I don't know. I don't know if it was like a real, like at an auto show or something. So also I did want to point out to some crystals I have. This one is Septarian. There's another name for it as well. Okay. I can't remember what it is at this moment. For all you geology folks out there, this is labradorite. Okay, this is often used for protection, healing. A lot of times people make jewelry out of this as well. This one, though, I took with me when I got my tattoo. Like, I need a little extra evil eye on me, you know what I mean? Like, this stood in for my evil eye. And then the other day I said this was citrine. It is not, you guys. I misspoke on that. So, but I was, in the middle of the video. Anyway, this happens to be calcite, a yellow calcite. Okay. So again, when you're watching messages and stuff like that, we tune in to, make things more clear, not to be more confused. Okay. So again, if somebody comes into your energy with all this and that, and they're like, well, and can you send me this on my Cash App? Because then, when I get my return back, then I can do this and that. You know what I mean? And it's all these little hoops and steps and stuff. And you're like, I'm going to let you roll off my back right there. Right? And you're going to say, I'm satisfied taking care of myself, not, and I came here to work on my vision, right? Not work on somebody else's problems. Okay. And collective, I feel like you've done enough thinking, right? It's almost like you've come out of the cave, you've come out of the, the penalty box or whatever, like that you might have put yourself in over certain situations. And you're like, you know what? I'm not doing so bad. Right? So everybody else's level of expectation, they can put that wherever they need to on their burden. Right? And if you look at one of my last readings, the very last card that was pulled was the 10 of Wands. And the message was that all these people that wanted to put their burden on you are now having to carry it themselves. So now you might be starting to feel that emotional weight lifting. That happens a lot of times when people are coming out of depressions. You also might be taking a type of medicine, okay, or a supplement that is helping with depression. That's how it feels like. It feels like naturally you can just, right, breathe easier, stand taller, right? In that movie, she said, shoulders, chin up, shoulders back, right? And getting your photo taken. Anyway. So, don't be afraid to be proud of who you are, right? Like James Brown said, I'm black and I'm proud, right? Obviously, he was doing that for a certain group of folks that were needing a pep talk, right? But it's that same kind of sentiment, all right? Whoever you are, go out there and do it well. Maybe you're good at doing hair. Go make yourself some money, girl. There's a lot of ladies that want to get their hair done. There's a lot of men that want to get their hair done. You know what I mean? And yeah, somebody might have a case of the Mondays and came in and was like, well, I can't afford to get this done. I can't afford that good. And you're just kind of like, well, I'm working at what I'm working at so I can have what I have. And I don't have any other answers for you other than that. Right? And leave the conversation there. And so again, the blocking message is coming through. So collective, if you have not blocked whoever is kind of in your energy with this type of attitude, trying to push it off onto you, you're just kind of letting them spin out a little bit. And they're not getting the attention, basically, is kind of what's happening, and you're done thinking about it, right? It's like, oh yeah, they're an adult too. Oh, I forgot, because they act like children, right? Sometimes that's just how it is. So yes, there are 2 8s that showed up, Patrick. That's very interesting. 8 is also representative of the infinity symbol, right? Wow. So, yeah. Okay. By you forcing these folks to kind of face their own mirrors, face their own towers, they're having those tower moments of like, oh no, the collective's not going to come and save me, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, magician, Mercury, communication. I believe it is Mercury. Again, I'm not an astrologer, right? I'm an energetic reader. Okay. So I know enough about astrology to be dangerous type thing. But in terms of, Mercury guides our communication. Okay. So you could have folks coming back around saying, oh my gosh, this didn't turn out how I wanted, and now I want to tell you all about it. And you're like, um, yeah, call my secretary and make an appointment, okay? All right. Yeah. So Mars and Mercury, two very headstrong, right? And the tower is ruled by Mars here. So this could be a lot of like panic type energy. It could be a lot of nervous type energy. This person might want to confront you and say, well, if I hadn't been doing this with you, I would be doing this right now, and all these things. And collective, the thing is, for some of you, especially since this is Mercury retrograde, you may not have spoken or been around this person's vicinity for a very long time. So it's like, what story have they been telling, right? When, you're in Omaha that weekend and they're in Paris, France. Okay, like okay. Yeah. Also, collective, you might be getting signs and synchronicities. Okay. Yeah. Some of these signs and synchronicities might also be due to this Mercury and this Mercury retrograde, where it's kind of like if you've taken a time out, if you've taken a pause because of, the season of Lent or Ramadan or whatever, right? Now it's almost kind of like, yeah, that Katy Perry, that roar. Okay, you're coming roaring back. You're turning on the engine. You're stepping on the gas. They're gonna hear the muffler. It's gonna get loud, right? Okay, okay, it's something like that. Okay, so again, don't be afraid to stand up and say who you are, right? And if you like the JB, over on my Feel Better Guru channel, I have a video of me to uh yeah, in America, you know what I mean? Station to station, living in America, right? Which famously they used in the Rocky movies, and I'm a big fan of the Rocky movies, especially Rocky 4 is my personal favorite. Being a child of the 80s. So again, there's an 8 reference. So 8 don't skate, pass it on. Yeah, this person could be trying to unload instead of letting you. Okay, this is exactly it. This is like the right. Okay. Imagine somebody comes in, office water cooler talk, blah, blah, blah. Okay. And imagine somebody comes in, they're like, oh my God, I got engaged over the weekend. Oh my God, right? And everybody's like, what? Oh my God. You know what I mean? All going crazy and stuff. And then somebody comes up and they're like, oh, so and so got engaged. They're like, oh, that's great. And it's like, well, what is, well, my brother's son got arrested again over the weekend. You know what I mean? Just slowly trying to suck the joy out of it. Type of celebration type thing. That's kind of what I'm getting with this case of the Mondays person, right? So again, do not let this person rain on your parade. If you want to feel exuberant, please do, right? I'll even bring this up. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, I know you saw it too. Anyway. Sorry, it's busy. It's busy today. What they say, if a-holes could fly, this place would be an airport, right? Anyway. Seven of Swords. Yeah, again, somebody wants to come in and snatch away and kind of like betray that moment and make it all about them. But like, for what reason? Because it's like, okay, so your brother's son, it's like, that's, I mean, did you have to bail him out? Like, and like, maybe it's not the first time you heard that. Like, again, exactly. Like, let's not all sit here around and cry about it. Right? Okay. Some of us, like I said before, didn't have to jump the shark over the weekend and throw the fisticuffs, right? And then complain about it later. Oh, how did that happen? Really? Choices were made. Again, that movie I referenced the other day, she says that in the movie. And sometimes it feels like you're watching yourself in a movie, and it's like, because sometimes you're looking around, it's like, is this really going on? Right? And that's what a lot of people start thinking when they don't come out on the winning side. The ocean jasper as well. This is one of my favorites, actually. Reminds me very much of the beach. Yeah, collective. So you may have, drawn your line in the sand and you were like, oh, I remember you talking about so and so. Yeah, that's great. I'll catch up with you about them later. I'm gonna go congratulate whatever on their engagement. And then you just walk away. What are they gonna do? Physically restrain you? If that's the case, right? Then we're gonna start to get into a problem, right? So let this good news come, and let it come without worried about the other shoe dropping. Are there ebbs and flows in life? Yes. It's just, the thing is, maybe that ebb and flow is not going to be your ebb and flow. Maybe it's somebody else's. And it's just because something's going good for you or somebody else that they just have to be like, you know what I mean? Yeah, scorpionic energy, death card. I pulled Scorpio the other day as well. Water energy as well. A lot of moon energy right now. Definitely check out your moon sign. If you're resonating with this reading, there might be some things that start to make more sense to you. Say you do have a water sign astrologically in your moon. That could be why you're extra sensitive, right? Why you are more empathic, why you might, you're sympathetic towards people's plights in society. Maybe you're somebody who took a caregiving role in life, either as a teacher or a medical professional or, something of that nature. Okay. Look at this, you guys. 8 of Wands again. I cannot make this up. And this is how fast you're getting over it. Like, as soon as you watch this reading, some of you are going to be like, yeah, why am I freaking worrying about yoo-hoos over here that their best news is that so-and-so got arrested again for doing the same old crap that they were doing 20 years ago that, Dr. Phil, if you go back to the Dr. Phil story, right? You don't think this person was told at a certain point to stop with the mayhem? Again, Mercury retrograde, let's just roll the tape. Roll that beautiful bead footage, okay? Okay? It ain't necessarily hard. One of my rental clients I was talking to over the weekend, I was like, the older I get, the more excited I get about Menards, I'm like, because, when you're you think you got to have this kind of toothbrush and this whatever, you know what I'm saying? And I was joking with him because I got like this 8-pack of toothbrushes at Menards for like $2 or something. Stupid cheap. But they're soft, versatile. I use them, it works fine, right? And I said to him, like, I'm getting the free one at the dentist anyway. Right? Like, I was all about that free one. So How about the cheap one? You know what I mean? Versus, I don't know what I'm not going to say the brand names out there, but you guys know what they are, right? That they sell at the, pharmacies and stuff. And I'm not saying I haven't ever used that kind of toothbrush or that they're not good, right? I've used the electric ones too. I think I might even still have one. Anyway, my point being, yeah, you're going to start thinking and worrying about it, and it's not going to be worry. It's like there's a lot of fun stuff, but it's like a light energy. Okay? It's like coming around and supporting you and lifting you like the clouds, not coming to trap you like swords. Okay? So this is going to help in your mental ascension out of the drama zone. Okay? Of other folks that couldn't get their crap together, even though they were warned. How many times do you think by now? We're just gonna. How long is that gonna work? After a while, it ain't cute. You know what I mean? So, again, yeah, at the end of the day, you might be asking yourself, you might be like, yes, Patrick, I got all of these in particular actually this one I'm not sure if I got this labradorite at my local crystal shop or if I got this like sometimes the concerts I go to, they'll have like a little craft, pop-up vending area, you know what I mean? Which, what would be nice if some of these cities would just like mark off a little area, and then any local vendors that want to and can kind of have something set up can go and do it. You know what I mean? Like be a lot easier than almost whatever all the time. Anyway, so like I mentioned, some of these things, they might be coming as a shock to so and so, but it's like, well, what did you think was going to happen when you stopped taking your blood pressure medicine? Did you not think that maybe was going to impact you? Like there can be real consequences, right? So things that you already knew, collective, this is what some of them are facing and might want to be kind of like complaining to you about when you're just like, I don't want to have this conversation with you anymore. You're either going to take care of it or you won't. You know what I mean? Because again, they may have been warned. So I'm using like a medical example. You know what I'm saying? Unfortunately, when I was getting my car fixed, and it took them like 2 days, but they got it done. And like I said to them, I was like, it was quite expensive, but it's cheaper than a car payment. So, you know what I mean? If you're not in the market for that right now, right? Yeah, 9 of Swords. So this person, this energy could be very anxious right now, not really sure where to turn, what to do. You could have had a relationship with this person in the past. That's why they might want to come towards you, literally. Mercury retrograde. Beware, beware. Okay. Okay. Yeah. What do you want? Right? For some of you, it's not even gonna get that far, right? Some of you probably already have like restraining orders and things of that nature set in place because this is not a road that like again, that Dr. Phil, when the officer's like, okay, you have a choice now. You can start thinking for yourself with the brain that, somebody more intelligent than you figured out how to put in your skull, right? It's like, or you can be what Red Foreman calls a dumbass, right? Okay. Oh my God. The episode I saw the other day was one of the kids wasn't able to, didn't know how to dance. And so he was worried about going to this dance. And so Red's wife, Kitty, like, and they're doing, and then later they're probably like cha-chaing and doing all these. And then just like dip, and then of course one of the neighbors comes by and like what's going on in there. So again, some of this collective could just be busybody energy that you're just like, I am not interested in that type of water cooler gossip right now. I'm gonna congratulate so and so. I'm gonna look at the ring. I'm gonna ask her, whatever, and then I'm gonna go on my way, right? And some of this other stuff, it's like, good luck to you. I hope, your family detoxifies. Right. Lord, hear our prayer. Okay. Okay. Because if you don't believe in the power of prayer, meditative actions. Okay. Again, action. Prayer is an action. It might be a mental action, but still an action. Right? So is taking steps towards your goals and rising above the fray of the everyday chaos monster, right? You're like, I don't want to be a 13-year-old acting bad baby saying cash me outside and boosting cars and doing all that stuff. I think I do follow her on my Snapchat. Though. Not the other thing though. I don't follow anybody there. The one that looks like the Buckeye. Yeah. So it's like a petrified mud, basically. But it's, Septarian. I think it might also be called Dragon's Eye. Yeah, it might be Dragon's Eye. Patrick, I do also have Tiger's Eye though. Here, I'll pull it and show it to you. This happens to be in a little prism. I also have some Tiger's Eye jewelry that I like. Tiger's Eye is also sometimes called like cat's eye jewelry, just because of the effect it has. It's hard for the Tiger's Eye, it's harder to see on camera without the light, where this is very, very clear to see here. So. Camera 1, camera 2. Camera 1, you ever seen that one? Wayne's World. Wayne's World, Wayne's World, all right, done, excellent. Sometimes I don't do the whole intro, but the sound at the end, it's kind of like a cat sound. I do that with my dog sometimes when I'm playing with her. Just, try and get her going. I don't know, maybe. Beaker? Is that Beaker? Beep, beep. Well, that's Roadrunner. All right, guys. I'm going to do a little bit of moonology. So we do have that full moon coming up. And I'm trying to get these messages out to you guys before, you know what I mean? So like, if I was delivering a message to you on the full moon, it would probably be more predictive of, things that would happen after the full moon. So, I don't want to necessarily call this your full moon reading right now, but in anticipation, it might give you some things to consider, okay? And, the full moon is about shutting that excess. So again, people asking you to worry about things that really are not of your concern. And that is literally this 9 of Swords. So you're not worried about this stuff anymore. And they're like, oh my God, how can I convince them? And you're just like, I don't care. And like legally, there's no obligation for you. Like, it's just, anything at this point, it's, emotional manipulation. You're calling it Mars. You're standing on it and saying, agreeing. It's like, okay, I didn't do this to you. You did this to you by your own choices and actions. Right? Okay. So, okay. Again, the FOMO thing, accomplish what you want, right? Because if you're not accomplishing what you want, you become a cog in somebody else's wheel. And do you want to be a part of what they are doing? And I'm not saying, go run away from your responsibilities. No, the collective's not really into that. That's why I always had a problem with that one novel. On the road. Anyway, like I couldn't even finish it after I was like probably about like 60% through, and I was getting so mad at those characters. I'm like, that's kind of where you're at, collective. You're just like, I'm putting it down, right? I'm putting down my feeling of missing out on some entitled a-holes ruining some women's lives. Okay, number one. And I made a decision real quick to do something else and receive my blessings instead. Okay. So if you are not sure how things are going to turn out, and this is Scorpio, and we had the death card, Scorpio already came out. So this is the universe saying, like, I got your back. Okay. Before Cash Me Outside was, I got your back shit. Okay. There was a time when we actually used to have each other's backs. At least some people. Right? So, collective, when you continue to operate and have faith in the universe, eventually the universe is going to return that to you. Okay? So, you might be seeing a literal formal end for some other folks in terms of, maybe they're not going to be that person in authority anymore. I did a reading the other day. Kobe Bryant never stopped shooting hoops. No matter who the coach was, right? No matter how much playing time he got. Okay. What's that called? Fundamentals and discipline. So, you can follow your friend down to knock off the nearest convenience store or whatever the hell they think they're going to do today or over the summer, right? Or you can put an end to that and be like, you know what, I've even seen that. And some of you may have, right? And that's part of what some of you have worked hard to get through, away from these chaotic cycles of maybe family or friends or, environment even, right? Maybe your neighborhood looks a little bit different than some of these other neighborhoods. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, I know that neighbor has a firearm, and I know the one in the apartment right next to me has one too. Hopefully they don't do nothing in the middle of the night and it comes through my fucking wall. Kind of feeling, right? You know what I mean? Not everybody gets all that space, right? Like I was talking about earlier, the Axl Rose thing, right? Again, clearing that mental and emotional space for yourself so you can let the good stuff in. Okay, so once you do that, when you work through that fear, as you're working through that fear, you're going to start to see the blessings, okay? And maybe some of that blessing is being able to pay your rent. You know what? I remember my rent on time this month, right? Or, I took that active role and I kind of cleaned out one of my closets a little bit this weekend. Normally I'd reserve that for a weekday job, but oh well, I got it done over the weekend. Good for me. Right? It needed to be done regardless. you know, or I could fear that, oh, if I, you know, wasn't sitting here reorganizing my clothes, and I'd be, you know, meeting the most wonderful thing ever, or doing the most wonderful thing ever, or whatever it is, right? You know, especially that water cooler thing where it's like, oh, I don't have any good news like that to share, right? Okay. Just because it wasn't like, you know, that kind of thing doesn't mean it's unimportant. So you need to give yourself the credit for doing what a lot of people will not do. Let's face it. All right. Okay. Again, Scorpio. Lot of moon energy. I don't always associate Scorpio with the moon, but for this reading, it definitely is. Again, like that half moon, like it was either like on or off, like camera one, camera two. It was like it was kind of odd. So collective, again, you might be noticing some oddities, and somebody might be like, and I hate to say this, but I got the message. You know, register inaccuracies. And you're like, that doesn't normally happen, right? Or, you know, sometimes it happens, but it doesn't swing that far, or it's happened twice now in the last 3 weeks, you know, right? And then all of a sudden somebody comes up with that, it's like they always got this going on with that and the other, and it's like, yeah, you know, I can't really prove anything, but my gut tells me, right? Maybe that person has a different intention and vision than what you're holding. If that's the case, you know how to proceed. All right, so don't let a false sense of loyalty hold you back, okay? Now, you know, if you're a Cubs fan, look, you know, me and one of my friends actually saw some of the championship game, not the World Series game, but some of the playoff games leading up to. Anyway, that was pretty fun. Don't let your past hold you back. Look what, that is crazy. That is crazy. Yeah, there's people that want you to think they don't know what they're up to, that you don't. And collective, you might even have evidence on these people, and it's like you're kind of like letting them talk. See how big of a hole they're gonna dig for themselves, and then what did they say? When you dig one hole, dig two, because it's all over. It's all over. Can't lie yourself out of it anymore at a certain point, right? But they may not know that you know. Again, that movie Kill Bill, when she takes Sophie out of the trunk, she's like, I want him to know that I know. I want you to tell him that I know. You know, and all these things, right? And he's like, did she say why she did? And she's like, she told me exactly why. And then she repeats the whole thing, right? Yeah, obviously. Now, but to some folks, they're going to feel like, oh, now I've been betrayed by the collective because they found out I've been thieving from them. They found out I've been lying straight to their face. They found out all these things. And they think you're going to be upset about it? No. You're like, I've seen your kind before, and I know exactly what to do and how to remove you from my life. And merrily, we rolled on down the Monday stream. Bananarama. Yeah. Shocking Blue was the original, right? Yeah, baby, look at that. Shocking Blue. Shocking Blue. Venus, yeah, that's the new song. Also check out your Venus sign, okay? especially if you are in a singles mode. So look, there's different levels to astrology. Again, I am not an astrologer, okay? Um, but your south node is more your past lives, right? Um, you can still succeed without understanding everything from your past if you're future focused and you're goal oriented. Okay. So maybe you are one of these people that had a summer birthday and it's like, oh gosh, yeah, and then there's can't bring your treats to school, there's no school in session, and nobody can come to your birthday party because it's not like they have to be there because it's like at school, you know what I mean, or whatever, you know what I mean. Okay. So some of you could be having feelings around things like that happened where you're like so in that space. Go out and look at your chart. What's in your north node? What's your rising sign? Like many people in the collective, you're a well-rounded person. Okay. Maybe you work a 9 to 5 or a 12 to 8, right? A third, I was at the dispensary the other day and I was there. Well, I was doing errands early in the morning and because I got my car back, right? Anyway, so I was driving back got my car and so I was picking up some stuff. And then I saw the dispensary was open. It was like before 9. And I was like, oh, okay, I guess I could stop here too. So I went in and she's like, we get a lot of, because I was like, you guys are open at 8 now? She's like, we get a lot of third shifters. I was like, okay, well, that makes sense. You know what I mean? So maybe you're somebody who never thought you would have a nighttime job and now you do. When I was driving Uber, you can drive that at any hour of the day, right? So if you need to have a flexible schedule, it's like, oh, well, my kids are at school during these hours and blah, blah, blah. Well, I can drive from, okay, after I drop my kids off, then I can drive from like 9 to noon, right? Make some bucks, go home, start working on dinner, blah, blah, and then the kids come home. You know what I mean? Like, when he tells Tom Hanks, he's like, I'm the captain now. It's like, yeah, Tom Hanks' character is like, I guess I gotta sit down and listen to this dude now, right? Whether I want to or not, right? But operating in your South Node and doing all the things that people previously thought they could scam you on and will still continue, even if you have solid evidence, they will straight to your face. It's amazing, isn't it? It's amazing. It's almost scary. And I'm telling you, that movie that I referenced, that Secret in Their Eyes, dude, that's freaking, it tells you just how ice cold people can be. Those actors did, I think, a brilliant job in that movie. Yeah. So, for some of you collective too, this could be where like you had some kind of career opportunity or creative focus that didn't turn out for whatever reason. Maybe you ran out of money at the time. You know what I mean? When we're young, we say, oh, it's gonna be great when I can travel and do all these things, and then you're like, oh my god, I don't have any money to travel. Like, well, maybe when you're older you will have money to travel. Don't sit there and think that you won't just because right now, where you might be in a cocoon stage. Again, half moon. All right. So, don't give up when that clock's just going to keep turning and you have two options. Now, I don't know what counselor this was. This might have been a Dr. Phil again. The gal was, calling in on COVID. She's like, oh my gosh. He's like, look, you can take this COVID time and you can turn on the gas and start working on things for you. Or you can sit there and, catch up on your Netflix and whatever. I'm not saying nothing against that. Obviously, you're sitting here watching tarot read. We all need some kind of entertainment, right? The energy is gaining momentum. Yeah, waxy moon. Don't let yourself miss out on the momentum that you already have. Okay? So, again, you had the 8 of Wands twice. All right? So, and maybe you're one of these people that's had so many freaking relatives getting married, and start talking to this person that just got engaged, and they're like, oh my gosh, so and so is I asked them to plan my wedding, but I don't know if they can do it because and then maybe you so you have different challenges now, okay, that doesn't involve fixing other people's towers. Maybe you're like, that kind of sounds fun. I could be put my Jennifer Lopez. You ever see that movie, The Wedding Planner? Wasn't that? I thought that was a cute movie. I actually like her as an actress myself, like especially the early J-Lo, like Wedding Planner, Made in Manhattan, the Enough movie for sure, right? Just saying. Selena movie, of course. Ba-da-da-da-da, right? Da-da-da. Teaching all of us about that. Did you guys watch American Idol last night? That's kind of what he reminded me of, is like one of these little Tejano heartthrobs. And one of the commentators was like, he's like a Ken doll, because he was very good looking youngster there. And he was playing his guitar and everything. Yeah, so the energy is gaining momentum. Whatever you're doing that's helping you propel along, okay? Again, it might not look how somebody else needs to live their life, but that's because new levels, new devils, you're on a different level than some of these folks. That's life. That's life, right? Some of these folks, though, are going to want to like guilt you and be like, oh man, wasn't I there for you, bro? And you were just getting started, blah, blah, blah. And all the while, I've worked in the bar business, and it was very interesting to me that a bar manager that actually fired me and he fired me because I gave an employee who had just closed the kitchen down, I gave him 2 free beers. Anyway, yeah. Yeah, when I caught, he had like caught me on camera or whatever, and the next, like my next shift, I came in, he was like, called me the C word, C-U-N-T. He's like, hey, you, calling me that. He's like, get your stuff and get out of here, you little. And ironically, he was later found to be heavily thieving from the owner of the establishment and stealing his money through gambling games. Isn't that funny? How sometimes these things turn out. I haven't really seen him out managing a bar lately, though, so maybe that's a good thing. Because he might not have any fingers left by this time. Like if he lived in Vegas. He likes them young, too, so, Anyway. I think that's why me and him didn't get along too well, I thought I was just like little country bumpkin girls. Be like, oh, you're the big bar manager who's also my supervisor. She's glamour. She's grace. She's Miss United States. Right? Gracie that wears her little, is that your inspiration? What's the perfect date? April 25th. Isn't that what she says? April 25th. Miss Rhode Island. Yes. I've actually been to Rhode Island. I have. My mom and I drove down. We were visiting Boston, and we drove down for the day and went to one of those big old mansions. Those, that are on the waterfront and stuff. And there's also, it's not like, some of it's hard paved, but some of it's like rocks and stuff. I was actually surprised that my mother like walked on it, because she's not into like, she's not throwing herself out of airplanes and doing stupid shit. You know what I mean? Dumb stuff like that the military does. You know what I mean? Like, save that for the professionals. Right? It is time to release negativity. Full moon in Scorpio. Again, well, how many times is Scorpio going to come out in this reading? Oh my God. Y'all. So again, highly, highly, highly recommend you look at your chart. I really feel like somebody watching this today likely has moon in Scorpio. Okay. You have your Western astrology chart. Somebody also might be getting some visitors from their ancestors. Do not be spooked by this. It might. What I'm visualizing for you right now is because I don't know what they look like or anything. I don't know. Um, is that it's just gonna come to you kind of like in a dream state type, like just kind of like you're remembering a photograph of a happy memory. Okay, that's kind of how it's gonna come. Okay, alrighty. So if for some reason, whatever has happened, like to these other folks that want you to fix whatever for them, even though they've had many, 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 many chances. Like, again, like Blues Brothers is coming through. When Carrie Fisher's character is hunting her boyfriend Jake, and he's on his way to do, get this money for, the orphanage, but and then he finally, she finally catches him. And he's like, "How, baby, don't kill me. There was a train. There was a plane. There was an earthquake. There was a tornado. I got caught by the law." La, 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 la. You know what I mean? Throwing every excuse of the book. Because that's literally how many tries this person has had. Okay. And that's why it's like, they're getting hit with the tower. Okay. But they're not Juliet Jake, nor are they Elwood. Okay. I'm just saying. Anyway, so it is time to release the negativity. It's like, that ain't me, bro. I mean, obviously, if she had really lit them up there, well, she did at the apartment, you know what I mean? The movie, if you see the movie. Anyway, it's more kind of like for fun for kids, but, it's kind of fun to watch as an adult as well. Especially when you get to go through the mall, go through the old mall. Some of those stores are still around technically. Anyway, anyway. So yeah, release any negativity you have, especially if you are starting your work week off, with the optimistic foot, right? It's like, and you might have to tell somebody, you're like, I'm really glad that you're passionate about that, but right now I have to focus on this project, so maybe I can catch up with you on that topic at another time. Like over lunch or dinner or at a happy hour or, okay. I'm reclaiming my time, Senator. Right? I'm reclaiming my time. I don't know why. Also, I've been thinking a lot. Is Senator Klobuchar still in Minnesota? I got confused. I had to tune all that out for a while after we all voted, which we did, because we live in a democracy. So, thank heavens for that, right? Anyway. I think I'm gonna let you guys go there. I'm already a little over time. No, I am not British James Hill. You almost got him caught earlier. He needed those 2 beers. Well, if you are having, probably at least if you're having more than 2 beers, you definitely want to be calling a Uber or taxi or something. I was reading somewhere about these Waymigo or something at airports like out in LA where it's like kind of cutting off the Uber drivers, which I drove Uber and I did, give people rides out to the airport and stuff, which, that's usually a longer trip, which is better for the Uber driver, so you get a little bit. Some of these short trips in town will be like less than $5. You won't it's like kind of annoying, but it's kind of part of the gig. But if you guys need Uber driving tips, there are so many videos out there on YouTube. Um, it's like, for instance, you don't have to accept every ride that comes up. You can um, only accept the ones you want, basically. And because there's such a need for Uber drivers, it's not gonna like penalize you. It's not gonna give you the best rating or statistics. Okay, but like me personally, I had a good Uber driver rating. Like mine was above 4 stars. You gave away 2 beers that changed the bottom line. The manager's stealing. Oh yeah, yeah, right, exactly. Well, and two, what was even funnier, right, is that we had a policy that if it was a weekend close, that they got a free pitcher of beer. This just happened to be like a weeknight when it was earlier, and it was just like whatever here. You know what I mean? Like they weren't the type to be in there doing, anyway, some people know how much money goes out for free on folks that aren't even doing nothing in there. You know what I'm saying? They're just sitting in there creating the atmosphere, I guess. Israel Borjas. Hi. Is that how you say? Is it Borjas or Boris? Anyway, I gotta get out of here, guys, and continue on with my Monday, right? From Indiana. Go, who is yours? I'm not from Indiana, but I do live in the Midwest. I've been to Indiana. I also really like that Hoosiers movie. That's a great inspirational movie. If you're looking for uh and like wholesome too, like there's not like a lot of swearing or whatever in it. Yeah, it's a true story too, really. Chicken banana. Okay. Well, everybody have a good week ahead. And if you're feeling like some agitation that you just can't place, you know what I'm saying? Like you're like, why am I feeling irritated? Because like you just feel like this has nothing to do with you. Okay, go outside, go, open up a window, burn some incense, take a little break, come, clear yourself, maybe a walk even, and then come back to what you were doing. Okay, and realize that us being on this, in this solar system, we do have an impact on each other, and sometimes it's kind of like those tectonic plates, right, where it's just like and you're just like do we have to grind like that today, right? You saw my read a couple days ago. It's like the mom is just like, can I have one day of you two not fighting about this video game? And you know what, collective? There might be consequences for that, right? You're like, well, maybe you don't need to play that video game for the rest of the week or until Easter comes around. I mean, I don't know how hardcore you guys are out there, right? I wasn't a big gamer. I did have a gaming system when I was younger that I ended up getting. But then, it was funny. I was like, I played it a little bit, but I didn't really end up getting into it that much. Which is funny because gaming is such a huge industry. But I was doing other things like, lip syncing in my bedroom and stuff like that. So, yes, indeed. Yeah, we got our clarifiers out. So again, if you missed any part of the message today, please do go back and, don't be afraid to step out there. Those things that you've been thinking, those things that you've been dreaming, where you're like, oh, well, maybe I need to wait until this time, or maybe the time is now. Again, do one thing that's going to take you towards achieving that goal today. If it's a clean house, that means taking out the garbage, which I did the other day, so I don't have to do that today. Anyway, you know, keep, for some of you, it might be, you know, organization. It might be important enough for you in order to clear the space for the other projects that you need to work on. Okay, so think of it as spring cleaning time as well. All right, knock the dust off there a little bit. Anyhow, until next time, please do manifest wisely. Thank you, everybody who has liked the video today and participated in the chat. Remember, you do not have to be a subscriber in order to like the video, but it does help the algorithm and get the message out there further in YouTube land. And thank you, everybody that has been kind to each other in the chat today. It did start off a little rough, I will say. But you know, maybe they had a case of the Mondays, all right? Until next time, please do manifest wisely. Bye-bye.